going on, everyone? It's your man, Big Rob, Slam Time Wrestle Talk with Attitude. So I wanted to hop on here today and discuss the Kofi Kingston situation. Obviously, by now, everybody knows that WWE TKO came to Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, asked them to restructure their contract. They didn't want to do that, so they mutually agreed to part ways after they had asked for their release. This is a major miss by TKO and WWE. The minute you start weeding out guys that know this business, know pro wrestling, have been, a part of it for 20 plus years, you start developing a real problem. So you look at guys like Roman Reigns and these top guys that aren't there all the time. Who's taking that knowledge that they have and passing it down to the younger generation? You have all these, young guys coming, Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov, Javon Evans. They need these guys in the back. They need them on the road. They need them to, tell them the little ins and outs of, how to make this better, how to do this better, how to tell a story a little more. Kofi Kingston, I look at like the Javion Evans stuff. Evans is a fantastic athlete, a great wrestler, but he can really use that kind of, mentoring, especially from someone like Kofi Kingston, on how to, fully develop that into a pro wrestler who knows how to tell stories. This morning I was watching the WrestleMania 35 main event between Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston, and that was really great, man. I think this is the first time I've probably watched that clip since it happened, and I look back to WrestleMania 30 to 39, and there wasn't many moments that made me feel something, and that moment made me feel something. That was organic, that was real, and that's what pro wrestling is all about, and that's what it's always been about, storytelling. And I thank you, Kofi Kingston. That was, probably in that 10-year gap there, probably the best, in my opinion, the best moment, because it was real. A guy that has, started from the bottom, worked his way up, knocked back down, put in the New Day, didn't think it was going to take off, took off, then fought through all these years, went through all these, obstacles, and finally hit the, the mountaintop. It was well deserved, and it's one of the greatest WrestleMania moments of all time. So thank you, Kofi. But it just really blows my mind that TKO does not see the value in paying somebody like Kofi Kingston. You pay The Miz. I know he's great with PR stuff, but come on, you need to take that same energy and attitude you have towards guys doing PR to to the guys that are able to take knowledge that they've attained over the last 20 years and push it on to the younger generation. What are we doing here? That brings me, kind of want to hit on the NIL stuff that NXT does. So, okay, this business was always about guys getting into it that were passionate about it, that loved it, that came across it and fell in love with it. Now we're taking guys that, are college athletes, didn't make it quite to the pros, and we're putting them into the system of the WWE. And, this is a stepping stone for them. And you're losing a lot of that passion. So TKO, WWE just continues to weed out the passion for this wrestling business. Oh, well, he was a 3-star athlete. He played college football. Okay, but is he passionate about professional wrestling? Because those are the guys that make it to the top. You look at Kevin Owens, no college athlete, nothing special, but he loved professional wrestling, and he knew what it was going to take to get to the top. Do a lot of these new guys know that, that are coming up, through college into the NIL, NXT, deal? Probably not. And that's why, I'm really concerned with what they're doing here. You don't release somebody like Kofi Kingston. You don't do it. You pay that man what he's worth. You want to release, Aleister Black, Zelina Vega, the Wyatt Six, a bunch of other people. Fine. They didn't move the needle for me. That happens. That's business. I'm a part of business. It sucks when somebody gets fired, but fortunately, there's a lot of other places to work. But someone like Kofi Kingston, you need to recognize his value, and you need to understand that you need that in your locker room. You need that knowledge. I'm really concerned here. TKO doesn't know professional wrestling, and to grow this business and to keep it going on for another 50 years, you need these guys, man. So, again, thank you, Kofi Kingston, for, that phenomenal WrestleMania 35 moment. I always remember that. That was, one of the greatest moments that I've ever seen. You made me feel, and that's what this business is about. Moving on to the future, I see Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston moving on to AEW. In my personal opinion, I think Kofi Kingston should do a singles run there, and he could be a guy there. I'd love to see him kind of, with the chains removed from him that the WWE was kind of putting on him, to see him be his own guy as a single star. I think he could be a main event talent there. But I fully expect, him and Xavier Woods to kind of, transition into that tag team division in AEW, which is really good. You have FTR, the Young Bucks, Copeland and Christian. Now you got Kofi and Xavier, a bunch of other teams. I know I'm missing a bunch of them from AEW. My wish is I wish you could take the AEW tag team division and move it over to WWE. So imagine that tag division with our main event card with Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, all those guys. That'd be great TV. But yeah, another move by WWE TKO that I don't understand. Let's start taking the wrestling guys out of wrestling. And they put a video out the other day saying these are our guys that the talent relation guys. Just just no more wrestling people. Just get them out of the business. We have a different vision. So I said a couple weeks ago that the WWE that we see today is not the WWE that we've known and loved for 30, 40 years. It's a shame, but that's the business. So I don't know. Big Rob out.